This was one of the most incredible defensive battles in snooker history. The yellow ball was firmly blocking the opening of the bag, yet the red ball was pushed into this extremely challenging position. The moment the cue ball struck the blue ball, the live audience gasped, complicating an already dangerous situation. However, Mark Williams looked at the table and seemed very excited, as if to say, "Now it's my time to shine." It was precisely from this moment on, a nail-biting showdown began where the cue ball was extremely prone to falling into the pocket. Faced with such a complex situation, Liam Highfield decisively opted to drive the cue ball to the far end of the table. This increases the risk of the opponent's cue ball going into a pocket. He thought this would cause Mark Williams major trouble, yet he failed to realize that he had instead fallen into a passive position. At this point, Mark Williams was trailing by 18 points, but he remained perfectly composed, playing a defensive stick-to-the-ball defense. Nearly half of the colored balls on the table were hugging the cushion, and even if the yellow ball goes in the pocket, whether the remaining red balls can be potted remains to be seen. In such a situation, scoring consecutive points is nearly impossible, let alone turning the game around. Yet it was precisely in this seemingly hopeless predicament that Mark Williams stunned the entire crowd with his top-tier skills. Experienced veterans are truly formidable. His shot lightly grazed the red ball as he also successfully executed a high-quality drop shot. Liam Highfield stared at the pool table, his brow furrowed. He realized that his own defensive play had actually caused him trouble. However, Liam Highfield was no slouch either. Not only did this shot successfully avert the crisis, but it also sent the cue ball back to the far end of the table. The high-level defensive battle between the two players had the live audience on the edge of their seats. Even so, Mark Williams showed no sign of fear. Everything seemed to be under his control. At this moment, the yellow ball was very close to the pocket. This not only tests the players' skills, it is an immense test of their mindset, courage, and strategy. Any minor mistake could render all previous efforts futile. Who will ultimately prevail in this round? Who will ultimately win this round? Let's wait and see. Under immense pressure, Liam Highfield made the first mistake. His cue ball struck the blue ball first while attempting to hit the red ball, resulted in a 5-point penalty. In this situation, Mark Williams could have chosen to take the shot himself, but he immediately signaled to the referee to reset the ball, have the opponent replay this shot. The cue ball came to rest in a very awkward position. It was extremely uncomfortable for Liam Highfield, who was accustomed to playing with his left hand. After a moment's thought, he ultimately opted to use a pole to tackle this tricky spot. However, this